The action occurs not too long in the future. The protagonist of the tale is Gray, a mechanic who shares a lavish home with his wife Asha. High technology is so advanced in the society depicted in the movie that most individuals have chips and implants embedded into their bodies, which enables them to greatly simplify their lives. Wealthy people can even afford fully automatic vehicles without a driver. Gray, though, is wary of contemporary technology and continues to be clean of implants and chips. Gray spends his days repairing classic automobiles for private clients while Asha has a high-paying position at a huge corporation. One day, Gray recommends that his wife go with him as he gives a wealthy client, who also happens to be the owner of a significant technology business called Aaron and specializes in the newest implants and chips that can be implanted in people, the car he recently restored. The STAM chip, which Aaron demonstrates to Gray and Asha and claims can do anything, is his most recent invention. The automatic automobile Gray and Asha were in breaks down on the way home, causing the couple to have an accident in a sketchy area. For unidentified masked males take advantage of the defenseless Gray and Asha by killing Asha and hurting Gray. Gray is found to be paralyzed from the neck down at the hospital after it is determined that the bullet struck his spine. Gray is released from the hospital 3 months later and is left to live alone in his house, which has been crammed with physicians' automatics for his convenience. He finds out at the police station that Detective Cortez has not made much headway in looking into the death of his wife. In an attempt to end his life, he begs his home computer to administer high amounts of opioids. Aaron pays a visit to Gray at the hospital where he has been admitted and offers to install STAM into his spine. Aaron reassures him that Gray will be able to walk and live once more with STAM. Gray first rejects, but as Aaron brings up his wife, he decides to alter his mind. Gray undergoes surgery to have a chip implanted into his spine at Aaron's house, which allows him to move again. Aaron insists that Gray sign a non-disclosure agreement, saying that doing such tests on humans takes years of training, which he lacks. Gray finds evidence from his case in a package that Detective Cortez sent when he gets home. He is studying the drone footage of his wife's murder when all of a sudden, Stam's voice can be heard. Gray starts a conversation with Stam after being convinced that he is not mad, and Stam then assists him in locating Cirque, one of the murderer's accomplices, using the evidence that has been supplied. Gray doesn't have enough concrete evidence, so Stam persuades him not to call the police. Gray searches Cirque's home for hints and discovers texts that mention a certain tavern called Bold Bones. Cirque unexpectedly comes home, and he and Gray start fighting. Gray is significantly outmatched in the fight, and Stam offers to assist. Gray gives Stam control of his body, and Stam easily dispatches Cirque. When the detective and the medical examiner later examine Cirque's body in the city morgue, they find a substantial number of implants, including a combat rifle embedded in his left arm. The detective is informed by the medical examiner that old machine oil-covered footprints were discovered at Cirque's home. The detective starts to think Gray killed Cirque. Gray is being accused by Aaron of inappropriately exploiting his technology in the meanwhile. Gray answers by informing Aaron that Stem is speaking to him as he is reminding him of the non-disclosure agreement. Gray is instructed by Aaron to use Stam with caution and to avoid thinking that he is looking into the death of Aaron's wife. Detective Cortez confronts Gray at his residence to inquire about any potential participation in Cirque's slaying. Gray is able to sidestep the detective's probing questions with Stam's assistance, and she departs. Gray is advised by Stam to go to the Old Bones Tavern, but Stam also warns him that Aaron is keeping track of his whereabouts and has the ability to remotely disable Stam, rendering Gray immobilized. Gray walks to the bar pretending to be disabled and meets Tolan, another person who helped him kill his wife. In the ensuing fight, Gray, under Stam's direction, easily disposes of the 4 opponents in the washroom of the bar. Gray learns through Tolan, who has been subjected to torture by Stam, that a certain Fisk ordered the killing of his wife and Gray. Gray finds an implanted chip made by the company where his wife worked in Tolan's neck. Aaron tries to remotely disable Stam in the meantime. And when Gray finds out, he sends him to a darknet hacker who works underground. Almost paralyzed Gray requests Jamie, the hacker, to turn off the security on the embedded chip. Fisk and his crime buddy discover Toland's murder in the meanwhile at the pub. Fisk visits the hacker's apartment and pursues Gray after scanning Toland's pupils, killing the bartender in the process. Despite narrowly succeeding in rebooting Stam and disabling the chip protection, Jamie escapes as soon as she notices Fisk and his accomplice breaking into her flat as seen on the security cameras. Stam, who has been rebooted, kills Fisk's accomplice while assisting Gray in escaping. Detective Cortez makes an unsuccessful attempt to implicate Gray with the death of Toland at Gray's home. She listens to Gray talking to Stam using the bug she hid in his jacket. Gray tries to persuade Stam not to look any further, but Stam is adamant about killing Fisk and displays complete control over Gray's body. It turns out that in addition to cutting off Stam's connection to Aaron, Jamie also granted Gray complete access to his body. Gray pursues Fisk out of desperation, not that Detective Cortez is also chasing him. He finds a listening device while driving and notices the detective's car following him. Gray manages to escape the pursuit with Stam's assistance, and the detective visits Gray's home. She questions Gray's mother there about his upcoming move. Gray finds that the initial order was for Gray, particularly for his paralysis, when he catches Fisk off guard at his home. Gray and the upgraded Fisk get into a fight, but Stam doesn't manage to land a single blow. He approaches Gray for assistance at a crucial time, which incenses Fisk by making him think about Cirque. Cirque and Fisk turn out to be siblings. Fisk airs out of anger, which leads to Stam killing him. Gray and Stam visit Aaron's home after learning that he was the client from Fisk's phone records. Gray is ambushed by Detective Cortez at Aaron's house, but Stam easily overcomes her and nearly kills her. Stam is momentarily rendered inactive by Gray's request for the detective to use a stun gun on him in an effort to undermine Stam's plans. Gray, who is paralyzed, hears Aaron admit that Stam has complete control over him. Gray discovers that Stam picked Gray as his host from the start and used coercion to disguise his wrongdoing. Aaron is Stam's ultimate objective because no one else is capable of developing such technology. Gray is instructed by Stam to uphold it, and Aaron is killed. Gray attempts to stop Stam by pointing a gun at Detective Cortez and then at his own head. Gray awakens abruptly in the hospital and stretches his arms in shock. His living wife Asha walks into his room as he is attempting to phone Stam and informs him that Gray has been in a coma for days since the tragedy. They embrace. Detective Cortez now commands Gray to put down the gun, but Stam responds in Gray's voice, saying, "Gray's not here anymore." Stam claimed that in order to imprison Gray in his subconscious, where he would be with his wife while he utilized his body, he needed to break Gray's psyche. He kills the detective as he bids farewell to the officer and exits Aaron's home automatically as Gray kisses his wife in an imagined space.